The fluorescent lights of the Sterling Tower's marble lobby cast harsh shadows across Marcus Webb's weathered hands as he pushed his cleaning cart toward the executive elevator. It was 11 p.m., and most of the building had emptied hours ago, except for the top floor, where the real power never slept. Marcus didn't mind the late shift. It meant he could be home when his daughter Sarah woke up, make her breakfast, walk her to school, and be the father she deserved after her mother had left them 3 years ago. At 42, his back ached and his knees protested every stairwell, but he wore his janitor's uniform with quiet dignity. This job fed his little girl. That was strength enough. He was emptying a trash bin near the executive conference room when the double doors burst open. A crowd of men in $1,000 suits spilled into the hallway, their laughter echoing off the polished floors. At the center stood Richard Sterling himself, the billionaire tech mogul whose face graced magazine covers and whose company owned half the city's skyline. And then I told him, if you can't handle the pressure, go back to selling insurance. Sterling's voice boomed, drawing more laughter from his entourage. His eyes, cold and appraising, landed on Marcus. You there, janitor. We made quite a mess in the conference room. Catering left early. Clean it up. Marcus nodded respectfully. Of course, Mr. Sterling. Right away. As he moved toward the conference room, Sterling's voice stopped him. Wait. Turn around. Marcus did, meeting the billionaire's gaze. Sterling looked him up and down, a smirk playing at his lips. How much can you bench press? The question hung in the air, absurd and cruel. The other executives shifted uncomfortably, but none spoke. I'm not sure, sir, Marcus replied quietly. Sterling laughed, a sharp bark that made Marcus's stomach tighten. Look at those arms. What are you, maybe 130? 140 soaking wet. He flexed his own bicep, clearly defined under his designer shirt. I bench 315. 3 mornings a week with my personal trainer. That's real strength. Physical power. You know what separates men like me from men like you. He stepped closer, his cologne overpowering. Strength. Mental, physical, financial. The strong rise. The weak, well, they clean up our messes. The hallway had gone silent. Marcus felt heat rising in his chest, not from anger, but from something deeper, a sadness that men could be so blind. With respect, Mr. Sterling, Marcus said, his voice steady, I think we might define strength differently. Sterling's eyebrows shot up. Oh, do tell, Professor. Enlighten us. His tone dripped with sarcasm. Marcus set down his cleaning spray. When he spoke, his words were measured, careful, and carried the weight of lived experience. Strength isn't about how much weight you can lift or how many zeros are in your bank account. 4 years ago, my wife walked out on us when my daughter was only 3. Said she didn't sign up for a struggling family. Sarah cried every night for 6 months, asking when mommy was coming home. He paused, his jaw working. Sterling's smirk had faded slightly. Strength was sitting on the edge of her bed at 2 in the morning, singing the same lullaby for the 100th time, even though my voice was hoarse and I had a double shift starting in 4 hours. Strength was learning to braid her hair by watching YouTube videos. Strength was selling my car so I could afford her asthma medication, then walking 3 miles to work in the rain because I missed the last bus. Marcus's voice grew stronger. Last year, Sarah got sick. Really sick. Pneumonia that wouldn't break. I worked 70-hour weeks, took every extra shift I could find. I held her hand in that hospital room, read her favorite stories until she fell asleep, then went straight to work here to mop these floors. I didn't eat for 2 days so I could pay for medicine the insurance wouldn't cover. The executives were no longer looking at Sterling. They were looking at Marcus. She pulled through. Every morning now, she wakes up and tells me I'm her hero. She's 8 years old, Mr. Sterling. She makes straight A's, and she's the kindest kid in her class because she knows what it means to struggle. She knows what it means when someone shows up, day after day, no matter how hard it gets. His eyes never left Sterling's. That's strength. Not the kind you build in a gym or earn in a boardroom. The kind you forge when the world tries to break you, and you refuse to let it win because someone depends on you. The silence was deafening. One of the younger executives had tears in his eyes. Another was staring at his expensive shoes. Sterling's face had gone pale, then red. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then, quietly, I had no idea. You didn't ask, Marcus said simply. You saw a janitor. You didn't see a father. You didn't see a man. I have 2 kids, Sterling said suddenly, his voice rough. 10 and 12. My ex-wife has full custody. I see them every other weekend, and last month, my daughter asked if Uncle James, her stepfather, could take her to the father-daughter dance instead of me. His composure cracked. She said he's around more. That he knows her better. Marcus watched as the billionaire's armor fell away. I've been chasing strength my whole life, Sterling continued. Building an empire, proving I was better, stronger, more successful than everyone else. But I don't know my daughter's favorite color. I missed my son's last 3 baseball games. And they're growing up without me. He looked at Marcus with something like desperation. How do you do it? How do you show up when you're exhausted and broken? Everything hurts. Marcus thought of Sarah's laugh, her small hand in his. You just love them more than you love your own comfort. More than your pride. More than anything else in this world. Sterling nodded slowly. He turned to his assistant. Cancel my morning meetings. All of them. Then, to Marcus, what's your daughter's name? Sarah. I'd like to set up a college fund for Sarah. Full ride, any school she gets into. Before Marcus could protest, Sterling raised a hand. Not charity. An investment. In the kind of strength that actually matters. He paused. And I'd like you to consider a position in our corporate leadership training program. We need people who understand real strength. People who lead by example. Marcus's throat tightened. Mr. Sterling, I appreciate the offer, but I'm not qualified for. You're qualified to be a father when the world gave you every excuse to walk away, Sterling interrupted. That's a qualification money can't buy. Think about it. 6 months later, Marcus stood in the same conference room, but this time he wore a suit of his own. As Sterling Tower's new Director of Employee Wellness and Work-Life Integration, his job was to ensure no parent missed their kid's bedtime for a meeting that could have been an email. The program he designed had reduced turnover by 40% and increased productivity even more. But the real change happened on the executive floor. Sterling had started leaving at 6 p.m. He coached his son's baseball team. He learned that his daughter's favorite color was purple, and he took her to that father-daughter dance himself. And sometimes, late at night, Sterling would find Marcus still in the building, not cleaning, but reviewing proposals to expand the wellness program company-wide. Go home, Sterling would say. Sarah needs you. Marcus would smile. She's at her friend's house. Sleepover. But you're right. I should go. Your kids need you too. They'd walk out together, the billionaire and the former janitor, 2 fathers who'd learned that real strength isn't about what you can lift. It's about who you lift up. It's about showing up when showing up is all you have left. It's about loving someone more than your own limitations. That's the strength that changes lives. That's the strength that changes the world. That's the strength that leaves everyone speechless. Not because it's loud or flashy, but because it's real.